are listening to the Chomp Cast, the official podcast of Sword Chomp. And remember, you can always go to swordchomp.com where you can access the many places our podcast is available for download. But if you're listening to the show right now, that means you found us. So welcome to the madness that is the Chomp Cast. Also, don't forget, if you want to support the crew, we are on Patreon finally, www.patreon.com/swordchomp. It's a tongue twister. Look for the VIP Instagram tier as well, which gives you secret access to a VIP Instagram page. We have a amazing show today, a show that looks so real, you can almost believe it is. But much like fish, you can lift up our skin to see the soulless interior beneath, pulsing with wires and gears and other doohickeys. That's right, because we are talking about artificial intelligence today as it applies to video games. Inspired by Detroit Become Human, which is the game of the moment right now, which I also began playing. So I'm excited to discuss the beginning of that this week. Maybe we'll talk more about Detroit in the coming weeks as well. We have some really cool polls to run down, thanks to the lively pulse of our followers at SwordChomp on Instagram. Polls including Detroit Become Human, being the best David Cage game since Heavy Rain, Steven Spielberg's AI, the Sea of Thieves DLC or expansion of sorts event, whatever you want to call it, the Hungering Deep, which features the Megalodon that everyone's taken down. So we have some cool stories there. And of course, donut holes, which is out of nowhere. But it's a lot of cool polls to run down. The bio break this week carries on the theme of our Megalodon attack from Sea of Thieves, as well as we talk about shark ancestry. But I don't want to ruin too much of that right now. It's a pretty cool little thing. And I have a special quiz for Josh as well at the very end of the show. So stay tuned. All that and more on this week's Chompcast. And also, for those who, anybody out there who had trouble downloading last week's podcast, we apologize. Hopefully that will eventually correct itself. It's just one of those weird iTunes issues that we've been noticing. So thanks for your patience. But let's get to some intros. We have an exciting show today. Oh, Fish is waving me on the webcam because he knows that's where I'm going first.
It's me. Well, it's me.
me. Up first from Texas, my good friend, the Filipino Johnny Depp, as we call him, Anthony Fisher is here. Now, Fish, this is actually, I don't mean to start off the podcast with some, concerning news, but I think we might have a copyright infringement case on our hands here, Fish.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's more accurate than you think. It turns out, I don't know, remember, Fish, back in like our college apartment days, we made that video. It was the one where we attempted to just stuff various objects inside your anal cavity. Mailboxes, garden shears.
Yeah, vaguely.
So, the mailbox would have worked if you put the flag down.
You know what? We learned the hard way. We did. I should say Fish learned the hard way. But it was in the behind. Sobe bottles, you name it. Everything we could get in there. I found a copy of that tape. Apparently, at the time, we actually had named it "The Hungering Deep." So I think we might have a claim to that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, we're going for the same thing, pretty much.
They did name an island after our awards. So.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think this is not unprecedented at this point. It's clear someone there is a fan.
I think so. I think there's something going on over there at Rare. There's something fishy going on, all right? No pun intended, or full pun intended, all right? So I don't know, something we need to think about. I don't know if we're going to pursue it because I know we're big fans of the game and we respect Rare a lot, but I think, the facts show that we were there first. So, I don't know.
Maybe they're big fans of that, that video that they so happen to come across, And
yeah,
they're just paying tribute to it.
We were circling it into some dark channels of the internet that was back before YouTube was a really big thing, We had to find our own ways of getting that thing out there. So, it was viral before viral was really a thing. So, But we'll talk about it later. We'll see how it goes. Something to consider. Also brought back a lot of good memories, especially those garden shears. That was quite a challenge. Glad you're here though, Fish, as usual. Joshua Fowler is here, of course, from Michigan. And Josh, I was thinking today because we're talking about a bunch of different topics, like AI, for example. And some of our you are sort of like the GlaDos of the Chompcast crew in many ways. I remember that used to be one of our running jokes. You're sort of like GlaDos is like one of your heroes, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if she'd let me say that, but yes.
Yeah, she probably would. She doesn't like. Yeah, she wouldn't like anyone referring to her as a hero. What would you say? Do you have a favorite GlaDos quote? I was looking through some today, and I had no idea that she. Do you remember any of them? Any of them distinctly stick out in your mind? It's been a while. Summon it, Josh. You can do it. I believe in.
I don't know if I'd call it a full quote.
Okay.
But you monster always sticks out in my mind.
You monster?
Like, yes. It's one of my favorite things.
You monster. Did she say something like, this is your fault, I'm going to kill you, and all the cake is gone? Is that something that she said?
I don't think that's a direct quote, but along those lines, yeah.
Okay. I was looking up Portal quotes before the show. That's why I'm asking you.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't have it. Lots of good ones, like, well done, here are the test results. You are a horrible person. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the results of your test. You're a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a brilliant idea for an Instagram clip, Josh, where I want to get a picture of so it's like like a yearbook image, right? It looks like you in like a yearbook from like high school or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how in high school yearbooks they always put like a quote underneath? It's always like, a favorite musician or a song lyric. I'm just gonna put a GlaDos quote under your picture, and it's gonna look like a high school yearbook thing, and I think it's gonna be great.
I like it.
I just got to find the right quote.
Yeah.
Find the right quote.
I can't remember if they did quotes in our high school. I'm trying to think about that.
Oh, if you had like high school, dude, there was a lot of bad.
I have to go back and look at those yearbooks now. It's been since high school since I've looked at them. Obviously, it's kind of.
That was like a senior thing. Every senior should have gotten to. What was your quote, Fish? Did you do? Oh, you didn't? You dropped out of high school, didn't you? Yeah.
I didn't finish high school.
Whoops! I didn't mean to bring that up on the podcast. Whoopsie. Oops. Cat's out of the bag.
Just edit that one out, please, Josh.
Fish, I had the test results, and you're a horrible person. So congratulations for failing high school.
No, I would suggest dropping out of high school. Like if you have an option, take your GED at 16 and start college. Like if you're not a complete fucking moron, just take the test and be done with it. They waste your time for the last 2 years. You do fuck all.
Yeah. Well, that's when you're supposed to really get into the dating world. That's what set me and Fish back. We thought it was for school and being antisocial, but actually, in reality, the school is irrelevant. You're just supposed to get your feet wet, talking to, getting out there in the dating world and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, get your foot in the door.
Yeah. I think that would have worked out much better for you had someone, just taken you aside and said, maybe the tents you're wearing, pretending they're jeans, and the Linkin Park and the hacky sacks are not helping. Maybe if someone had,
it wasn't helping.
The courage to have that conversation with you.
There's usually only one, super hot rocker girl, and 7 other dudes with jinkos and hacky sacks. So the odds were. Well, go ahead, Fish. You about to say something? I can see you get defend.
Well, instead of I never played with hacky sacks, but it was mostly Tamagotchis and Digimon.
Yeah. We were Digimon, which is probably worse. I mean, if there's a scale that's going to get you less laid. No, it was middle school.
Yeah,
middle school. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Even then,
okay.
Even then, kids were getting, curious with, sexuality, and we're just over there. I have a feeling that starting with Digimon in middle school probably led us to making videos shoving objects in Fish's ass much later on. So I think that was the beginning of the spiral.
That's a natural progression,
Yeah.
Had you
Digimon
not been so fascinated by overfeeding that Tamagotchi, until it explodes. Years before, you never would have been led down that path.
Fish, your asshole kind of looks like a hungry Tamagotchi.
What can we feed it?
They should have put like a warning on those early Tamagotchis. Be careful. You may end up shoving a garden shear up your friend's asshole when you're 20 years old. So, who knows? On that note, I'm Morgan from Montana, by the way. And Shay's not here with us. He had some stuff to do this week that he's on a crazy schedule in Japan, so he had to take care of some health stuff on his one day off from teaching and stuff. I had this whole fake voice I was going to do, like, for Shay, like, Shay Layton's here. Hi, guys. It's Shay. I've just been, but I was like, fuck it. I don't have the energy to do a whole nother character today. But one day I will. When I feel inspired to do it. I do have a really good quiz for you later, Josh. I don't want to spoil it yet. And if you hate it, we can easily cut it off the back end of the show. But stay tuned if you're listening to the very end of the podcast. It's going to be fun. But we have a cool show today. I mean, AIs is sort of what we're is sort of the topic of the show. And the idea that sort of spawned this was a couple things. I was, just by pure coincidence, I had sort of been given up on Westworld because it went off the deep end. And then me and my fiance were watching Amazon Prime, and they had the old Steven Spielberg film AI on there with I believe that kid's name is Haley Joel Osment. He's the kid who was in The Sixth Sense and stuff like that back in his prime. And we were kind of watching it, and I was surprised. She actually really liked it. And then the Detroit game came out, and I was like, AI was just kind of in the air, or the idea of artificial intelligence. And it got me thinking about two things. Basically, like how video games portray a lot of characters, AI characters, everything from like a GlaDos, Josh, to maybe like some sort of robotic character like an 2B from Nier, and how they deal with those themes of, it's nothing new. Video games are always playing with that idea, am I a robot or am I a person? Like, what is consciousness and all that stuff? And artificial intelligence in the form of like how things react in video games, like how enemies respond. Like, for example, one of the first things that I thought of was like Halo. When I was a kid, like the artificial intelligence for the enemies in Halo was like a cut above the rest at the time, where you felt like they were almost like adapting to you. You know what I mean? Like they were getting smarter, and you're like, wow, this is like the first game I can remember playing where these enemies feel smart. And almost like there's a human being controlling them, obviously. And I'm sure it wouldn't feel that way if I went back and played the first Halo now, but at the time, that's how it felt. So that's my first place I wanted to start off with this topic. Like, what are some like artificial intelligence in the form of game design that sticks out to you guys? Like either really intelligent enemies or NPC characters or anything like that. For me, the original Halo was one that stuck out, and all the Halo games could sort of fall into that. But I remember the elites in particular were just super fucking smart.
Yeah, you could only really use one grenade a level before they just have none of that.
Yeah.
None of that shit. I actually found this video online of these people who, there's a 10-minute YouTube video of them exploiting basically trying to show how good the AI was in Halo Reach. And it's just like a 10-minute long video of them just doing all sorts of crazy things with the characters and the enemies. Bungie was always ahead of and Destiny's no slouch either. The AI in Destiny's actually mostly good, depending on the difficulty. I mean, it's kind of, they're building that game to be more of like a bullet spongy kind of experience because it's an online game.
Yeah, it's more stat based and whatnot.
But yeah. But the idea is there. But yeah, pure Halo. I don't know. What about you guys? Josh, is there anything that sticks out to you when you were thinking about this? I mean,
there's a lot, but probably one of the ones that I remember the most, and games have been trying to kind of reach this level of simulation a lot since then, but Metal Gear Solid 3 had systems that interacted with each other in such ridiculous levels that it was
3. Okay,
it was most people didn't even notice them, is how much the AI